Financial history has a very cruel sense of humor. It repeats itself time and time again, and we, as a society, always seem to fall into the exact same trap. It happened in the 17th century when people mortgaged their entire homes just to buy a single Dutch tulip bulb. It happened in the late 1920s before the Great Crash when shoeshine boys were giving stock tips. It happened in the year 2000 when adding a .com to the end of a company's name instantly made it worth billions, even if it didn't have a single paying customer. And, as we saw in our breakdown of the 2008 crisis, it happened with the housing market, when the illusion of endless growth blinded the smartest minds on Wall Street. And now, right before our eyes, the greatest wealth illusion machine in human history has been reactivated. We are standing at the absolute peak of the artificial intelligence bubble. The fuse was lit in November 2022. The world changed overnight with the public launch of ChatGPT. It became the fastest adopted consumer application in the history of humanity, reaching 100 million users in a matter of weeks. Suddenly, the impossible felt tangible. Machines could hold philosophical conversations, pass elite medical and legal bar exams, write complex software code in seconds, and generate breathtaking art. A wave of panic set in across the corporate world. But it wasn't the panic of the apocalypse. It was the panic of missing out on the next great gold rush. On Wall Street, the fear of missing out, the famous FOMO, completely bypassed the rational, analytical part of investors' brains. Overnight, companies that were struggling to survive discovered a financial magic trick. All they had to do was slap the label artificial intelligence on their quarterly earnings report. It literally didn't matter if they sold fruit juice, mattresses, or basic accounting software. If a CEO said the magic letters A and I enough times on a phone call, their stock price skyrocketed. But there is an old, battle-tested maxim in the business world. During a gold rush, the worst possible thing you can do is go looking for gold. The people who get truly rich are the ones selling shovels and pickaxes. And in the modern AI gold rush, the ultimate golden shovel is called the GPU, the Graphics Processing Unit. To train these giant digital brains, you need a level of computational power that is hard to comprehend. And only a tiny handful of companies in the world can design and manufacture the absurdly complex microchips required. NVIDIA, for example, didn't just experience growth, it experienced a financial mutation. It became almost overnight one of the most valuable entities on planet Earth, briefly surpassing the entire GDP of major nations. They effectively own the toll booth on the highway to the future. If you want to build an AI model, you have to pay their toll. And the bottleneck doesn't stop there. NVIDIA designs the chips, but they don't actually build them. The physical manufacturing relies almost entirely on a single company, TSMC, located on the island of Taiwan. The entire trillion-dollar future of global technology is balancing on a geopolitical knife edge. The mainstream media sold us the comforting lie that this advanced technology lives peacefully up in a cloud. But artificial intelligence is not invisible magic. It is incredibly physical, aggressively demanding, and brutally heavy. The cloud is actually on the ground. It lives in windowless, concrete buildings the size of multiple football stadiums. These buildings are filled with rows upon rows of monstrously loud servers. These massive data centers devour amounts of electricity comparable to the consumption of entire developing countries. They consume millions of gallons of fresh drinking water every single day just to keep the metal racks from melting down under the extreme heat. We have reached a point where the digital world is physically draining the natural resources of the real world. In fact, the energy demands of AI are so utterly massive that tech giants are now desperately trying to buy dormant nuclear power plants just to secure enough electricity to keep their servers running. And this is where we get to the best-kept, most dangerous, and most terrifying secret in Silicon Valley. When you strip away the hype, ignore the charismatic CEOs, and just look at the raw financial numbers, the math simply doesn't add up. Tech giants like Microsoft, Google, Meta, and Amazon are currently building the largest money furnaces in the history of capitalism. They are locking themselves into an arms race, burning tens of billions of dollars on capital expenditures and infrastructure every single quarter. To justify this astronomical level of upfront investment, future AI revenues would have to reach stratospheric, almost impossible levels. Recent deep dive reports from major venture capital firms estimate that the AI industry needs to generate over $600 billion a year just to break even and not lose money. Let that sink in. $600 billion. But where is the actual revenue coming from today? Right now, the money trickling in comes from $20 monthly consumer subscriptions and the sale of incremental productivity tools for enterprise businesses. It's a lot of money in a vacuum, yes, but against the backdrop of what they are spending, it is a drop in the ocean. The hole is getting deeper, and the ladder is nowhere to be found. But wait, the optimistic investors shout. AI is going to completely replace human workers. It's going to save corporations trillions of dollars in salaries. The reality on the ground inside actual offices is vastly different from the promotional videos. Current AI technology is a fantastic co-pilot. It is a great assistant for brainstorming and drafting, but it fails miserably when left unsupervised to do real work. It suffers from a fatal flaw known as hallucinations. It invents legal precedents, fabricates medical diagnoses, and makes up mathematical facts with a level of confidence that is downright terrifying. Major corporations are quickly realizing that integrating AI into their core business isn't magically cutting costs overnight. In many cases, it requires even more investment in cybersecurity, data privacy, and human oversight just to make sure the robot doesn't accidentally leak sensitive client data. It is an incredibly expensive intern that constantly needs its work checked. We also saw the first wave of AI consumer hardware hit the market, and it was a complete disaster. Devices like the Humane AI Pin and the Rabbit Runo were hyped as the iPhone killers, gadgets that would replace our screens entirely. Investors poured hundreds of millions into them, but when they finally shipped to consumers, they were slow, buggy, overheated, and could barely answer simple questions. They were trying to force a technology that wasn't ready into a hardware box that nobody actually needed. So what happens when Wall Street finally wakes up and realizes that these massive, world-changing profits are going to take a decade to arrive instead of a few months? The narrative begins to shift. Right now, we are building the entire valuation of the AI market based on a distant, almost religious promise of AGI. Artificial General Intelligence. This is the theoretical science fiction moment when machines become genuinely smarter than humans at all economic tasks. Right now, venture capital is funding startups that are only weeks old, giving them valuations in the hundreds of millions and sometimes billions of dollars. Many of these startups don't even have a working product or a single paying customer. They have a charismatic founder, a slick PowerPoint presentation, and a dream. Silicon Valley has become an echo chamber of epic proportions. They genuinely believe that whoever spends the most money today will automatically be the undisputed winner tomorrow. But the truth is that the tech industry is currently subsidizing our use of AI. The $20 you pay to use these highly advanced tools is artificially, unsustainably low. It costs the companies significantly more in electricity and computing power to generate your answers than you are actually paying them. Someone is footing the massive, invisible bill, and right now, that someone is the venture capital funds and retail investors. This is a runaway, high-speed train with no brakes heading toward a missing bridge. Physical expansion cannot be infinite. The world's power grids are reaching their absolute breaking limits. The supply chain for microchips cannot move any faster, and eventually, inevitably, the hype train is going to hit the solid brick wall of economic reality. The absolute perfect analogy for this moment isn't the gold rush. It's the dot-com bubble of the late 1990s. In 1999, everyone with a brain knew that the internet was going to completely revolutionize human existence. And they were absolutely right. The internet did change everything. But being right about the technology did not stop the financial market from completely collapsing. When the dot-com bubble burst, it evaporated $5 trillion of wealth. It decimated thousands of foolish, overhyped companies that had cool logos but zero viable business models. Companies like Amazon survived because they actually built something of value, but their stock still plummeted 90% before it recovered. Being right about the future of a technology does not protect you from losing all of your money if you pay the wrong price for it today. The AI bubble bursting doesn't mean ChatGPT is going to be shut down or that technological progress will halt. It means we are about to enter what the industry calls the trough of disillusionment. The mainstream hype will die. The easy, cheap money will dry up. The startups burning millions of dollars a month with no revenue will quietly go bankrupt. Only the companies that can figure out how to turn artificial intelligence into a product that actually turns a real, sustainable profit at the end of the day will survive the coming slaughter. Because in economics, just like in physics, whatever goes up in a rocket without enough fuel eventually has a very hard, very destructive return to Earth. The artificial intelligence revolution is real, but the price we are currently paying for it is the greatest financial illusion of this decade. The ultimate question is this: when the music finally stops playing and the massive bill for the servers comes due, who is going to be left holding the empty bag?